Do you know, I think this story is going to be really difficult to talk about in general because the story is quite peculiar, actually. It's quite abstract. Most of the things that I tend to write tend to be quite, well, realistic, I suppose. Realism is generally what I go for, but this is, it's a bit more thorny. And the idea, and also it's quite difficult to talk about because there's an element of it that I suppose wouldn't want to give away. I don't know, but certainly the idea is about memory and I suppose traumatic memory and how we deal with that and how that sits with us. And so the idea that a traumatic memory could be submerged, as in the title, and become something other, and so effectively the story is the telling of almost like a sublimated version of what happened, and gradually, well, you don't actually, I suppose, realise what did happen until, well, maybe not at all, but it begins to be threaded through it, and the ending is in a way the twist, and that twists back to the actuality of what happened. And I suppose if you were to then read through the story again, you would see laced through it lots of finite detail that was actually relating to the real event rather than the submerged memory of it. Yeah, so in the story, there are no names of the principal characters, and they're not gendered either, which I suppose is to do with the abstractness of the story primarily, and wanting it to keep it quite vague and ambiguous. The story is very ambiguous, I think, and fuzzy. The people of the town are named often, and exactly, and the same characters crop up through it. And I think part of that is to do with they find a role in this submerged memory of the story that is different to their role in the actual event, but they were part of the actual event. So there's a character called Eddie Tuck in the story who we infer has had something to do with, or he was present, and the way in which the main character's memory has taken that, has retained the Eddie Tuckness of it, but it's put him in a slightly different role, a different version. I'm working very slowly and laboriously on a novel at the moment, which I've been working on for, I don't even want to think about how long I've been working on that for, but it's progressing, and I'd like to say that I'm enjoying it, but I don't think I ever, at this stage, enjoy it a lot. I think I will definitely start enjoying it once I move on to the second draft, but I find the first drafting process interminably hard, I really do. Just trying to pound it out very slowly, but I think the important thing is that the idea and the characters and the style I am still very interested in. It's a novel about a football club, a lower league football club. There's a theme here, you see, and about sexuality, and so there's a character, the main character probably, who is a young man who, in a different world, might be more sure of his sexuality than he is in this world. So it's about the idea of how a culture affects the way in which you perceive yourself and think of yourself, and what you actually think of that person.